Hello everyone, welcome back as we are underway with our second game of the day, and well, it has been already a great map against Akatsuki and Adventure Force, and you know, NACL teams, they're really bringing the heat flow. You know, me and you casting CL for NA.
Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought it?
Not me.
Not me. Yeah, NACL's really kind of brought it so far. 7-1. Obviously, we look at the history of these teams and how they met in CL, and it was a 7-4 in the favor of Adventure Force, and it seems like, well, they're keeping that roller going now, but that was obviously their map, and we head to Consulate. First time we've seen this in the entire OGA pit closed qualifiers across all the regions, so it's going to be quite a treat, I think, for all of us. And Akatsuki, they've got to wake up a little bit, I think, as they head into this second map. Jackal is the first one taken off by Adventure Force. Not going to want to risk the roam too much, I guess. And that's the thing about Consulate. We always kind of mention it, especially as it comes up as a very, very big and strong map in our in the region of EU. Is it's so quick to get from the top floor to the bottom floor. The drop downs and the hatches are so complementary to each other to be able to just consistently and quickly find your way from floor to floor, and it's also got obviously 3 very big, very quick staircases.
Yeah, we haven't seen Consulate, and I'm a big fan of that map. There's a lot you can really dig your teeth into, and of course the multitude of bomb sites, and yes, you know, Tellers hasn't been seen all too often, but is still a possibility, so it does fit under the category of every single bomb site is defendable if you put your mind to it, and let's just hope that one of these teams will give us a good showing on their defense, and, well, it will be Adventure Force up first, just like they did last time. They get defense first.
I mean, obviously, it's their favour to opt for it. We've still got Valkyrie on the board, and to me, that's a big worry on this map. Whenever Valkyrie's still on the board, it means you have to pick IQ every round.
Mir is there as well.
Yeah, these guys have been very, very good at using and utilising
It's just the same
Mirror.
bands again, isn't it? Yeah, it is the same bands again.
Yeah, it's the same bands again. But, you know, for me, Valkyrie's too powerful on this map, and it forces the IQ pick. Unless you know that they hate playing Valkyrie, they might not bring her, but having 4 flat walls, all the information you could ever possibly want on an approaching push, there she is. She's on the board. Now, no IQ currently to match against her, but obviously with a 6th pick, it will just feed into what, for me, was working really well for Adventure Force as well, which was the ability to just keep moving all around the map, have the roam heavy, have the presence constant, and find the holes in the back of Akatsuki's attacks.
Habana ban. That's an interesting one. Habana is only really seen for the basement. Well, really, honestly, only hard breach is really seen for bottom floor. Yes, there may be that one circumstance in towards the quad wall of A where Habana can try and open up an angle, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of destructibility apart from the massive garage wall and the hatches. So, banning Habana means that you now leave open Capitao, you're leaving open the Nomad. There's other big operators there that you could have done with Eliminate, and even, like, Blackbeard is an operator that is commonly seen on a map like Consulate. Jackal being banned, maybe not one of his greatest maps, but still could do a bit of damage. I'm just intrigued by the Habana.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you kind of... The idea, I guess, is to limit the speed of push and limit the kind of pace that you can get these angles cracked open. It forces on this point, as a prime example of you have to push your way to long desk to get what is the usual point, that triple wall at the bottom left corner of the A point that you see there. That is where they're going to want to throw their hard destruction. And it kind of means that you have to physically go out there, and that can be an absolute no man's land. Chasm of crossing the long desk where you'll have Zest, for example, who's had a pretty good game so far for a stand-in on the ACOG, being able to just tear anyone up that dares to push past. Here is Throw, opening with this aggression that we said is just going to be aided and abetted by that Valkyrie, but look at the time that Akatsuki, well, they're not wasting it. They're bringing it straight to the top of yellow, trying to burn as much as they can against those stairs and get control, which becomes a big cornerstone of a lot of teams' push against this top floor.
I'm really glad that they've brought a smoke operator, that being Capitao. You need smokes for this bomb site, especially if you're going for the B side. You need to clear off the massive double door that leads in towards the front desk, and also you need to cover off the connector. So more than likely, their objective will be take control of yellow, move their way in, take control of the bathroom, and then from there they will try and swing in towards the B bomb site. That's going to be their main objective. They're already trying to pincer out that Valkyrie. Have wasted Capital Bolt, so, but hasn't hit its mark. Still has one more, and here comes a swing in towards yellow, which is what we expected. But nobody from Adventure Force is there to say that. The wall bang comes in from Fro, and that's using his Mozzie drone as well. That is exactly how you use your Mozzie, but then a quick nade kills come in, and has eliminated the smoke, more importantly. Oh no! You've just got your teammate killed!
Yeah, that's a body dropped, and you see her fall to the ground in front of you, and can you live with the grief? As Prophecy finds Suzaku, the walls are getting closed in pretty quickly against Adventure Force. Zest is still rotating around Connector and struggling against the encroaching pressure from all the windows, and the flashes are coming in too. This is getting very nightmarish, but at least the Mozzie is still doing a bit of work on yellow. Goes for a big bold jump out, run out, finds one, finds two! Throw gets the quad kill and sets himself up for an ace and completely shifts this round into the favor of Adventure Force.
Not even that, he also was smart enough to destroy the Claymore, because how many times have we seen somebody jump out and get killed by the Claymore on their way back in? And Adventure Force, Fro specifically, he is in their heads. He is in there.
That was everything that you wanted that to happen with the Nomad and the Claymores.
Things we love to see.
That?
You're getting the hang of it.
Yes.
I taught you well. We'll keep going.
I'm learning. Throw. Unbelievable movement there. As he said, the initiative to drop the Claymore to avoid all of the Nomads that were otherwise set up on those stairs. Know that the pressure was coming in from those windows, and being in kind of insurmountable odds, the Mozzie did more than work that round. Gonna swap round to Cafe and Garage, and that is such a big, big swing in their favor.
Look at Zest's name. Losing to Zest. That is like the ultimate tilt name to play against, isn't it?
No.
Like, if you get killed by that, you are just...
It depends, because if it had barcodes in there as well, I think that's more of a tilt name.
What, die into a barcode?
Yeah, isn't that the worst thing to die to? Isn't that, like, the most stressful, do you not find?
No.
The part of it, and then... I saw a great post about it, the breakdown of, like, the ingredients to fully tilt someone. It was, like, barcode, anime profile picture.
Honestly, like, probably the main thing that would tilt me, if I was to lose to Valley, that would probably be me done. That's the ultimate tilt name for me, if you die to a guy named Valley.
We just set up the 1 versus 1, you versus Valley.
I 1v1'd them and just absolutely destroyed the man.
In the Chocolate Thunderdome.
I'll fight him again. I'm not bothered.
Someone organized that. Breezy setting up with the mirror. We said this was a very good operator in the hands of both these teams over the previous time. Obviously, we saw it get a little bit more of a run in Adventure Force's fantastic 7-1, but, you know, they had those angles and they're so good at the response. Drip already from the aggression on the swing being taken out, well, almost taken out by the aggression of Adventure Force. They are really responding well to just pushing back against Akatsuki and not giving them any ground to find any semblance of solidity. The grenades are already pinging to the bottom of yellow stairs. This Suzaku is just going to try and hold himself on drone watch and pop bullets against anyone that might come close, but they're just going to Claymore it and rotate off and try and get the big control, with some damage already being done to what looks like the hard wall there potentially, or I might just be seeing things in the crazy eyes of Siege. Pixel going to head to at least the top floor as they're trying to put pressure against Piano.
So they finally decided to bring some self-destruction. I don't get why they didn't do it in Bank, but this time Drip, he's picked up the buck. And this is a great operator for Basement, of course. And Nomad hasn't put anything on the flank, and you just allowed your Valkyrie now to go all the way upstairs, and is now a looming threat that I'm sure will come in to bite Akatsuki in the back end. There's a first blood, though, for Pixel. He will shed first, and there's Breezy off the table once more. Second kill coming in now for Akatsuki, and even a third. Looks to be they have this round on lock, but here comes Zest, another roamer. Adventure Force, they are very specific in sending 2 guys up at a time for their quick retakes.
Well, you can say that they've done a lot of work here.
Another one?
Well, yeah, Suzaku finds another, swings round and gets the person behind White Van as well. This is a clutch scene.
No way!
And another one is on the floor. It's suddenly a 1 versus 1, and Zest is on a huge amount of health. If he can capitalize on this and find his way above, this could be absolutely monumental. Can't quite see the bodies, and with a minute left, they have both crawled to a safety. One impact would have been unbelievable. Wise from Akatsuki to pick up one and rotate round, and suddenly it's now a 1 versus 3, but the health of all of them is half of Zest's.
This is so winnable as well from Zest, but they're on such low HP. Diffuser still has not been picked up. There we go. Finally, Talon gets it in. Drip is in bomb site, and this is the 1v1. Has to be Zest against Drip. Zest now knows Diffuser being planted, but quite smartly from Talon, he has went and planted inside of Cafeteria, away from where the holes would be. He's now rotating in, looking for anything he can, but as you can see, everybody from Akatsuki, they're playing it smart, playing it safe, and now Zest will look to rotate in towards the spiral. Has to move quick, not a lot of time left. Pushes down. Thermite has made the great rotation straight in towards the archive section of the map, and honestly, I don't think Zest's going to be ready for that, as he's still trying to find the 1v1 against the Buck, and there goes Drip, fires in free, does light up Zest, but only a little bit of damage, but honestly, that's the Diffuser ticking away. No time for Zest, he's never going to expect the Thermite, does get Drip, but yeah, no time, not going to be ready for the Thermite, and Talon should be able to clean up houses, he can push in very simply, and there you go, Akatsuki after an absolute fluster of a round. Oh, that was great. That was absolutely great. Oh.
First plant we've seen go down between these two teams. First time the Diffuser has successfully hit the floor and stayed there for now. And I guess we'll see if the trend can continue. Akatsuki respond well to what is almost an unbelievable play there by Suzaku. If he'd have locked off those 2 frags and it was a 1 versus 1, that would have been an insane situation for the dock upstairs. And the fact that even then it was, the 1 versus 3, as we said, had all the vertical, had the sense to find one, maybe shouldn't have rotated that far off, but I guess if they've got your number, they're going to try and be a bit sneaky about it and could potentially close down one of the many different angles around you. So it's good from Adventure Force to keep trying to find their way into these rounds, but we've already mentioned this before, and it only seems fair to mention it again. You can't reliably rely on insane clutches to win you series.
So, Lobby now, they had the option to go for Garage, but still going with the constant rotations, quite similar to what we've seen from their defense and bank, but that was simply because they won all of those. So now going for the Lobby. Only still the 1 Egghog, so that hasn't really changed. Except it looks to be Fro now switching onto the dock rather than Zest, and Zest now picking up the Mozzie rather than what Fro was on. So they're very proficient at changing their operators when it needs to be done. Suzaku and Euphoria and Breezy, well, Breezy's kind of been switching in between like the flex operators, like Smoke, Mute, and Mira's kind of been his main guys. But Euphoria and Suzaku specifically, they've just stuck on the Valkyrie and Jaeger.
Well, I'm curious to see how their lobby hold breaks down, because so far they've generally been losing a lot of the first bodies and a lot of the first blood, and from then on, as we said, have been swinging themselves back into the round from shenanigans is a fair word in terms of, I mean, it's been working very well. Their aggressive strategies and plays are kind of coming together. Still has a black eye in pocket, Euphoria, so might be able to do something insane out here again, but if they suffer the fate of one of these runouts, it's completely down to Akatsuki's fault at that point. Bringing the IQ, which I like to see, as I said, and she takes a huge amount of damage, you're going to have that as a response. Drop to the floor, and the C4 finishes it. It's the Valk as well, and Throw puts Strip to the ground, bringing Akatsuki, well, they're in for the first time, apart from the round that they lost, in the short in terms of actually having the operators on the board. 5-3, they suffer now, and they're still struggling to find their way inside to the actual building.
How are they losing hatch battles? I don't know how they're doing that, because generically, the person on top of the hatch has the better gunfight stance against the bottom guy, but that hasn't played out as well. And Adventure Force have just swept away the side of Akatsuki. Pixel, I don't really know, like, well, he hasn't really shown up this game at all, you know, with the IQ. I don't know if it's just the fact that he's running the LMG, but it just hasn't been working for him. You know, we expect this man who was, you know, all his time in Luminosity, he was part of the 92 Dream Team, and now it's just, he's kind of fallen apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate thing to see, and maybe it's they didn't intend to fully bring the IQ, and it's a response to the amount of informations in the Valkyries, and they don't want to replicate the run-out they already suffered once. Talon's creeping forward, and the other man swings out from lobby, doubles up, and at least Prod finds something to stem the flow of blood, but with 50 seconds and the top floor still under their control, it was only really going to swing that way. 2-1 in the favor of Adventure Force now, and I'm assuming they... Well, actually, they've got a couple of options to rotate.
Yeah, they have Garage and Console now available for them. Honestly, I could see them going for Garage, but more than likely they will go for the Console just because they won it last time. And yeah, the Console can be locked in. So we've kind of seen what Adventure Force has done in all three of their bomb sites. Nothing over the top. Nothing crazy. You know, no mid-floor holds on Garage, no mid-floor holds of your top floor. Kind of mid-floor is like the big thing for a lot of teams and what you need to kind of defend, but they really haven't went for that. You know, they went for very basic. They kind of send, there's 3 roamers at one stage, nobody on site, so they're very heavy on the roam game, and site players, they will simply go upstairs. You know, we've seen the Doc, who is supposed to be an anchor in bomb site, has the ACOG, goes upstairs. Heck, even if you look at Bank, we've seen Mira rotating away as well from site. So they're a team that are not afraid of the roam game, but the Nomads really haven't came into that much of an effect. That's the only thing for me, and I kind of feel as if Akatsuki just kind of realized that, hey, these guys don't really sit on site. Let's just hot breach into triple wall for Garage, and there you go. Top floor may be a little more tricky, of course, because roam game doesn't really exist, apart from, you know, the odd Valkyrie or Mozzie that could be lurking downstairs to try and get the C4s in. But overall, Adventure Force, they're just playing basic, but they're just winning their frags, I think is the main thing to kind of add it into that.
Well, let's see if they can replicate the magic that was the first time round on this point. It would be a fool's errand, as I said, if Akatsuki allow themselves to suffer the same run-out that got the big turn of the tide in the round, where they otherwise had a pretty systematic lockdown of this point. But, you know, it's also down to how Adventure Force respond. They got the opening frags from some brilliant play from the Mozzie, and then from then on it started to fall a little bit apart on the point itself. If it wasn't for the heroic actions of the short Australian, it probably would have been a very different story. They have the angles open already, and you can see the quick aggression against yellow side as Drip is wasting no time in trying to get a bit of upwards control here, but they also have the long sidelines towards the southern spawn point open, and Suzaku's trying a little bit of table hopping to find a body, but all of Akatsuki seem to be set up towards this northwestern side.
So, Adventure Force, they once again will try and implement their roam game, and they're going to try and leave it light. Typically, Euphoria hasn't been one to try and get in your face mentality. He's been very great at kind of reading the game. You know, he sits back, he waits, he listens, he looks for an opportune moment, and more than likely his opportune moment will come around the minute mark. Fro had a phenomenal round the last time they went up here and single-handedly won them that one. Suzaku looking to try and get a little bit aggressive in towards yellow, but at the moment for Akatsuki, they're taking their time, which I like to see. It's not like Bank where they just walk in. They know what they need to do, and that is take control of yellow. They have everything set up. They have the Capitao primed and ready to eliminate Suzaku's first fire hour gets tossed in, but Suzaku has managed to dance away back in towards the front desk. That has meant that they have alleviated all control away from yellow. So this is where we could see someone like Pixel try and rotate in like he did last time, or probably even Sophia is probably in the better position. Prod actually coming downstairs to air jab off the mid floor. That's great because we know that Euphoria is going to try and want to get in that position. They have lost Drip though from Euphoria, but there's the refrag, so I'm glad they're playing the mid floor and it's worked for them. So no C4 denials, and whenever they know that Breezy, as a heavy, he will rotate below. They're waiting for him to go for it, but since he's not getting pressured, he doesn't need to go anywhere. He can chill, he can wait.
Well, they're in the 4-3 situation, and yet again, they're doing crazy runouts, and it is coming to fruition. This is what this map allows, and this is why you've got to be more on top of the game, or just ban Valkyrie, as I said. There's a quick swing out, and Prod at least finds Breezy to bring it back to a 2-3, and Akatsuki still have the window control, still have some utility to find a way around, and still have the smokes of the TAC crossbow, but they've got the diffuser down on the rooftop, so they've got to swing in unless Suzaku has anything to say about it. Finds one, and Prod finds the response response has been the pretty consistent phrase. He keeps finding more and more and almost gets the man lying down behind the sofa. But Suzaku, with yet another heroic effort on this map from a player from Adventure Force, puts it to a 3-1 situation.
I don't know what it is. Adventure Force, they've turned up tonight. This is a team which is last place in Challenger League, and it does look as if they should be there. They look as if they should be high. They look as if they should be challenging, because everything they're doing, it's not, you know, difficult to kind of look in and see these strategies, because it's not that, you know, advanced. It's very basic, very simple stuff, but the small things, they always work best, don't they, Fluke?
I'm not going to respond to that on stream before our stream gets pulled. Setting themselves up for a cafe and garage. Hark your minds back to how this kind of broke down. But then at the same time, I'm going to say do the same for console in the first round and then the round we just saw, where it was sketchy, but they pulled through on the first console with some aggression. That second time, they generally seemed consistently in control. It seems like Adventure Force are quite good at responding to what's going wrong and finding a new way to reshape their defense to be able to still work as the formula that they've put together and brewed and find the aggression, find the roam and swing out, but also respond to the aggression that's coming from the attack. And if they can keep that up and they can replicate the success they've just had on console in a response to how they originally went to the cafe and the basement floor, they could find themselves yet again getting another round victory without having to rely on the heroics of a single force. Well, now they're again bringing a similar lineup, and Akatsuki are doing the same. They've obviously got Pixel back on the IQ, who has otherwise, as we said, not unfortunately had the biggest impact in the game so far, and Drip with the soft destruction alongside Prod probably going to try and get control of the piano side this time.
So Vigil being thrown into the course of things for the first time, and honestly, Vigil's not going to do much because drones have been very lackluster from Akatsuki on their kind of side of things. The only thing that they kind of droned out was the area they wanted to push in. There hasn't been a full, and even on Bank, there hasn't been like a full clear out of everything. You know, kind of what we see from teams where they will sweep top to bottom methodically, make sure there's no roamers, nothing to worry about at all. But Akatsuki, they only take what they want, which can be a good thing if you're kind of a minimal team, which kind of saves utility in the long run and gives you a little bit more time. But then you really need to be able to lock down roamers, which is the main thing. And Adventure Force, they're all about the roam game, and Akatsuki just haven't responded whatsoever against them.
Well, Euphoria again, holding in on press and piano, waiting for more pressure to come. But so far, it seems like Akatsuki are being a bit slow and steady this time round. Putting the drones in ahead of them to allow Prophecy to push this with the pings coming out. And Valkyrie has somehow survived without any damage yet, but Pixel is there to pick up. And this is the trade and the combination we kind of wanted to see a little bit earlier. Very, very well coordinated and almost clinical in how it removed the Valkyrie from the room above. Throw is still not too far away, playing towards the Teller side and is a position ready to swing round with Zest only another 20 paces further east. But again, it's just waiting for the right time to collapse because Akatsuki is still very active in the clear.
I still love the duo-ship partnership of the roamers for Adventure Force. They always stick together. They don't really allow each other to get out of arm's reach distance. Sure, they've lost one blood, but in the long run, that should be fine. Suzaku, you're crazy! Stop that! And that has shut down the Thermite, shut down the diffuser, and more surprisingly, Akatsuki has let that happen.
Well, Throw finds Pixel. Again, this is the roam and goes for the second in piano and finds it, gets the double against Drip. And that is the shotgun of Buck taken out of the equation. The soft destruction that would be a nightmare above. As Zest finds Prod and it is careening towards a 4-1 right now with Prophecy having all the work in the world to do and only 20 seconds to do it. Suzaku, it didn't work twice, but appreciate the energy. And now it's just, again, 15 seconds and kind of waiting and baiting for the Adventure Force to show up in full force, but they're happy to sit back and rest on their laurels as they pull themselves one round closer to a victory on the map. Exit fragging purely as Vigil and Mirror and everybody's trying to have a go, but unfortunately there is nowhere to go.
You have run out of time.
Wow. Adventure Force are pretty nuts. Are they nuts or just Akatsuki aren't here to play?
I mean, Akatsuki seem a bit lost. They seem like they're struggling with how to approach what Adventure Force are doing. At the same time, Adventure Force just seem consistently malleable. This is a map. At the very beginning of this, we said that Consular is... It's a weird one to describe because it's a very quick map and a very small map.
Yeah.
It is the only map where, in the observer cam, you get the entire map in the actual above thing. And that is really just working wonders for Adventure Force because they're so free to do the roam game that you've complimented to them where they double up so quickly across multiple stories, and Akatsuki just don't seem to have a response for it. Every single place, every room, every cover seems to be consistently doubled up and shut down, and it's just really working wonders for them. Heading back to lobby for one more defensive round, and this is the first time they've doubled up on trying to shut down the roam game, bringing both the Nomad and the Gridlock.
But in the long run, now you lose the Capitao, which was picked a lot by them. Sure, they still have the smokes, but those fire arrows to try and illuminate the people on site now could be the issue. But whenever Adventure Force, they don't have any people on site, then sure, you don't really need the Capitao. So in hindsight, that's how you kind of look at it. So, looking at Adventure Force and their lineup, exactly the same as what they did the last lobby. And the last lobby was so easy for Adventure Force. Akatsuki just swung into admin, and that's as far as they got. There was nothing else they took. They just lost people one by one within 30 seconds of each other. And now it looks as if they're going to try and put all of their pressure towards the west side and try and enter in through that main console office rather than the admin side of things, which is what they went for last time. I wonder if this is going to end up better for them, or it could be even worse, as there's going to be more bodies, more reinforcements, and more everything being put towards this side of the map rather than the admin area for Adventure Force.
Well, they're applying a lot of pressure against Breezy. They seem to be more concerned with getting control of this top floor, and you've got to remember at this point, I believe they'd already at least lost one operator from the aggression of Adventure Force, so it shows that, you know, they are at least responding to some of what Adventure Force are doing. The shame is Adventure Force seems so unbelievably malleable right now. It's hard to predict what can Play-Doh become, really, because they're making it into any shape they seem best fit to then smash Akatsuki in the face. Throw is setting themselves up inside point to be able to hold the long angles, but again, so far Akatsuki are just droning and trying to get as much control of the northwestern side as possible. Gonna blow in against this. The C4 gets torn in the meantime, and the Battle of Explosives almost does catch Mozzie with the follow-up from Pixel to be able to find the way onto the leading frag. And now it's the run-out going from Doc that just does not catch anyone on the main lobby stairs.
Yeah, but it is the first kill for Akatsuki this round. But generically, over the course of the game, whenever Adventure Force are down that man, they still end up pulling it out of nowhere. And we could see that very easily happen once more. So it looks to be that 3 players are on site. Euphoria very close to site, but just still on Spiral, so there is rotation potential for him, but not really anywhere he can use his C4. Nomad below, waiting for rotate, it seems to be. But nobody from Adventure Force are in a position to do so. Fro now in towards bench is where he will rotate himself into. But still, Akatsuki, they're taking their time. They're trying to make sure they know exactly what they want to push and what they want to pressure. Nobody's picked up Diffuser, which is my only worry. And has Suzaku just walked out again? Yes, he have. And he's got another kill.
Suzaku is really the one that seems to have the power of anime on his side right now, as he's just careening through the team. 3-2. How much does he have that in his blood, as he can try and find a way to claw Adventure Force to a 5-1. But with 10 seconds roughly left, they've got to push in against the big set of guns, go through and straight past the shotgun that was waiting and hasn't quite reacted, but has the nitro cell, throws it behind the usual plant point, doesn't catch anyone, and with Suzaku gone on the far side, finds one in the meantime. Post-plant situation, and you know where both of them are. Akatsuki managed to make the split 4-2 before they head to their defense, and I think that's a big sigh of relief.
Yeah, that's a lot better from them. They finally managed to work out their kinks that they had, and, well, most of their kinks was just allowing the roamers to have that freedom. There was even a moment there where Suzaku again had his moment to shine on the Jaeger, but overall, they took their time, they paced it well. You know, they opened up the piano, which is exactly what they wanted. That's why they brought in the Buck. And it just worked a charm. You drop the hatch, simple plant. Great cover of the smoke as well. You have to admit, it kind of impaired the vision that smoke, or it was mute in that scenario, could have tried to deny the plant. So overall, it was great from Akatsuki, and Adventure Force just lacking a little bit of aggression that we expected from them before.
Well, the 6th pick there from Drip, heading from the mirror to the Valkyrie. As I said, Valkyrie is just such a valuable operator on this, and I'm expecting to see some aggression from the side of Akatsuki just to make Adventure Force bleed a little bit as they approach the consulate building. Otherwise, the gridlock to the sledge shows that they want to go with a bit of pace here as they try and put pressure against this cafeteria. I guess we'll see if they can make something work from it. 4-2 is a pretty nice split, if I'm honest, for Akatsuki. If it was the other way around, it could have been a bit of a nightmare, but I would say the defense, they've got a slightly nicer job to do here. At the same time, Adventure Force have consistently been able to pull themselves through rounds with some pretty great heroics. So Akatsuki kind of have to show up and be ready to deal with an Adventure Force that seems, well, more forceful than it has throughout most of CL.
So, Garage, right off the rip for Akatsuki. Not going for the top floor, which is more generic, but then again, you're going to have to defend Garage either way if you do take the top floor, so you might as well get it out of the way with. Adventure Force, standard lineup, Thatcher Thermite combo to open up in towards the breach to deny any bandits, which hasn't been as common as what you would expect, but that's kind of fill in the gaps of, you know, some teams where bandit may be picked up if they don't have a certain defense operator they would like to choose, but you know, you look at the kind of meta that's developed where everybody and, you know, and their grandmother will go in towards the piano and try and sledge above the bandit to disable him from doing his job. And, you know, they brought the sledge for that reason. They have some soft breach, they have the denial of roamers, bringing the Nomad, and IQ can be valuable to get rid of Valkyrie cameras. And, well, Drip has brought the Valkyrie, so surely she should come in handy.
You would think, and obviously they have the IQ as the insta-pick as well on the side of Adventure Force, so they should be looking for any and all this information. And you can see her doing a little bit of work across these bottom of the windows. Again with the Nomad, which is a pretty consistent and constant pick with Valkyrie on the board, with all of that kind of information and the potential of runouts as Prod rotates up to the top floor to try and find some cover. And Prophecy is just going to hold inside the bathroom. Still Adventure Force finally getting open what sounds like the garage side, and now they've got to do the rest of the work, which includes getting a fair bit of vertical control. With a minute 40 though, there's plenty of time to do it.
We do see a mid-floor hold though. From Akatsuki. They have the Jaeger in towards bathroom, and you can even see Prod. He's roaming around the top floor to give support. I think Talon in towards bench as well. So they have a good spread out of everybody. And the fact that they've brought the mute jammers, and if you didn't know, you can place mute jammers in very specific locations that can deny access to drones coming in through front door, through yellow stairs, in through bench. It can deny all of that from elevated positions, which isn't exposed to the attacker. So that is you know, it's a good pickup, especially for your mid-floor, and it's very common to see.
Well, the grenade is going to pop over the top. They tried to burn it with the flash grenade, realize there's nothing there, and that could be a great pickup, but it's just a bit too long as it catches. And Valkyrie is going to move to live another day as the pings start to come out. Suzaku, however, still on the roll that he was on previously, drops Prod upstairs, and that's going to allow them some freedom as they just try and hard push the plant. Dropped as they swing in. Drip finds one, Talon finds another, and the diffuser is still trying to be stuck there, buried in the corner. They can't quite make it work as they find themselves suddenly in a 4 versus 1. Not entirely sure what information was on the call there to tell them to go for the plant hard stick, but that seemed a little bit out of date there as they were just completely torn apart by multiple different angles.
That's exactly the same thing they kind of pulled on Bank for their first attack, was where they literally just said, you know what, let's just run in, and that never works. If they're afraid of pushing mid-floor, they shouldn't be. This is a common thing. Teams will try and hold bathroom to not only deny access to teams who want to try and get in piano and use their sledge, but if you have control of mid-floor as a defender, you have access to hatch, which you can drop down and rotate back into sight. And not only that, you, as a defender, can also open up holes above where Thermite will try and default plant. So if you don't want to go for the mid-floor and think, oh, we can just sack that off and we just try to rush in sight and try and plant, it doesn't work because they still have mid-floor control and can kill you from above. You need to take the mid-floor, and they have everything there to do so. You know, they're bringing operators to deal with roamers, such as Sophia, who can be great. Nomad, we know, is deadly to try and cover off the flanks. They have everything right there in their hands, but they never took it. They just threw it away. They were scared. I don't know why.
Six picking off the Thermite to the Capitao is two slightly different playstyles. We've already discussed the utility of Hard Breach back when we discussed when Hibana was taken off the table, and this is a point where, yeah, you kind of use her and you can see the wall where Pixel is reinforcing. Just to the right of what Pixel is reinforcing is usually what gets cracked open by the Thermite or the Hard Destruction, whoever you've got in your wheelhouse, but so far they're going to go for more of a smoke push here. Try and get some control, try and force Akatsuki back away from the position, potentially take the standard push from admin office and then clear across, but we have obviously seen a bit of a preference for taking control of the yellow side stairs instead. Yeah,
that's kind of became the norm, unless your name's Team Empire or Force, or if you're Russian.
The Russians,
pretty much how to sum that up.
They've worked it brilliantly, and they've kind of demonstrated how well admin can just...
It's a staple.
Admin plus Russia equals success.
Consulate plus Russia equals success for the most part. But no, kind of the norm is towards that yellow. That's great information already from Adventure Force. That's been able to see some Aussie drones so they know what to expect. And let's not forget, actually, that even Fro, he got a kill using his Mozzie drone in the yellow stairs. So just those little things that can be proven, you know, oh, it's only a drone. It cost him a kill, you know. So that'll always something to try and keep in mind. And now for Akatsuki, they've set up in towards yellow. They've brought Castle, primarily to try and cover off certain angles, such as the connector, which is a strong one to cover off, because that means Sophia now has to waste some utility. It just gives Prophecy a little bit more protection. Whenever you think about the aggressive nature he can provide, peeking in towards, you know, the B bomb site on towards the windows, and also gives cover to Talon. But that's been opened up with the Sophia charge, and they've had to disperse away from that. So Adventure Force taking it slow. Yellow still seems to be their primary objective, but looking for a couple of opening picks more importantly. They have a suspicion somebody's downstairs, and those bullets from the MPX will alert them to that. So they don't want to have these pesky roamers annoying them.
Well, they start to collapse towards the point now. They have their setup and they have all the information. This is the longest we've ever seen all 10 operators still standing at this point, I say, as Prod gets one and Suzaku on his roll finds Drip, adding to the tally of bodies that he has left in his wake, creeping around and underneath, trying to find anyone that might still be there. And there is a man and there is a victim of Suzaku who gets his double and starts to head up with the pace of a man that does not want to let this round slip through his fingers. Now they can start applying some more direct pressure from all the sides of the staircases. You can see big rotates coming out on the side of Adventure Force to be able to get these angles that can otherwise bite. So important. A great and very important pickup there to regain a little bit of control on this side, and they try and finish him off, but for now he's just going to crawl and draw as much attention and time as possible as the smoke canisters start to pressure Zest on the top of yellow.
Still, Suzaku ready to go, but will have to get picked up if he wants to try and get himself back into the fight. Breezy has also been downed and has been finished off, leaving it all for Zest and Fro, but we have seen both of these players explode in moments like this. Fro, he could have went and picked him up, but just going to go for the frags. One inside the bathroom, and they will try and pressure in. Fro has the pre-fire, but runs out of bullets, and Akatsuki. Oh, they pull that off. Pixel and Prophecy adding on to the tally. Adventure Force, they fall short. Unfortunate scenario for them, but still, I don't know, it didn't look if Adventure Force had a clear way of actually pushing that.
Yeah, as soon as they started to make bodies, it was the momentum they got was really just from aggression. It was from Suzaku throwing himself through the map, finding a couple of people in a couple of places, and then as we said, the man loves to hold the sprint key and get himself from A to B and do it with a lot of skill. At that point, they had a bit of lobby control and they needed everyone else to kind of be in a position to execute, and you could see them start to try to do it, but you've kind of got to be a little bit more ahead of the curve to react to the momentum swing such as that, because as we saw, it just allowed Akatsuki the time to double down on their defense, get a little bit more control back, and from then on, they're still just executing their actual hold. Lobby press, we're going to head to for the first time, and this was actually one of the points that Akatsuki managed to take on their attack, but they have pretty convincingly swung it back round to a 4-4, and if this trend keeps up, it looks like we are, well, we're barreling towards our third map for this best of 3.
Yeah, they've pulled ahead, so perhaps the defense having an easier time in Consulate compared to the attacks, but that's kind of common, very common for a map like Consulate, where the defenders have a lot of things going for them with the roam game and destructibility factor and the different kind of angles that you can provide with ACOGs. Attacks a little bit more complicated. You really need to be a solid team, and you know, we've seen the Russians, of course, dominate with their coordination, and you know, teams which are not as committed, such as Adventure Force, because let's be real here, they're not a full-time committed team compared to a lot of other guys in NA. They're still putting up a good fight, but it does show in their attacks whenever they kind of stop and they stall and they don't know exactly where to go from there.
Well, I think the phrase was, and that some players have said, if Adventure Force scrimmed, they could have been one of the best teams. They could have been a contender. And, you know, obviously, they have so much raw skill as a team, but as you said, that's when it kind of starts to fall apart, is when it really gets put under a microscope of attack, when you start to see
the demo microscope.
Just any
I'll find anything and anything about anybody.
You put a team on attack, and then flaws show up more vividly than they would on defense. Because your defense, you know, your setup gets tested. You have time to work stuff out. Your attack is where you've got to be malleable. You've got to be active, and you got to think on the fly and respond to somebody else's question. And so far, it seems like Adventure Force are, you know, they're finding some responses, but the working is sometimes a bit scratchy, and they're otherwise not quite finding their feet properly. Zest, who has been a pretty good stand-in for the day so far, is instantly careening his way up across Tellers, and well, there he goes, finding the first body against Talon, taking care of the pulse and trying to get a bit of control upstairs, and there is Pixel, who is caught out in the midst of a rotate and dropped by Zest, getting his double, and that is a pretty big loss, not only in the control that has now been almost completely taken over by Adventure Force, but in the smokes and the pulse and the C4 and the information he could offer to stop that push.
Oh, the quick peek from Valkyrie, so looks to be that Drip is trying to play exactly how Suzaku was, and that's so aggressive. But now nobody from Akatsuki is actually in sight. Two of them towards Visa's side, and one of them inside of bathroom. There goes Prod, and they can just walk in. There's nothing stopping them. Prophecy from above, that's eliminated everybody from upstairs that was pushing from Adventure Force, and there's the Nomad being sent in. They know one's in piano now. Suzaku on the rappel. Another Nomad sends him right back into his arms. So now for Adventure Force, they have the control. They have these track stingers going off. Prod has managed to square it back in towards Akatsuki's favor, and now Breezy, all down to him. Has Diffuser, didn't go for the punt, instead trying to go for the kill. Mozzie runs outside, will be detected, tries to get back in. C4 being tossed away, but as long as Drip's still given cover, this isn't going to work well for Breezy. Peek comes in, and there we go, Akatsuki. Again, they push forward. Oh, he's being GN'd. Was it a GN? Let's see. I've seen better.
Well, I think it's mainly because for the first time today, they've put themselves up around. They are in the driving seat, Akatsuki, and let's see if they can keep it going. It's been pretty good defensive rounds so far, as we said. Where Adventure Force seem to be falling apart is on these attacks against Consulate. Now, obviously, the map that we'll swing to afterwards is Cafe, which is, well, it's a map that who really knows where they want to kind of play at, and both teams have suffered losses on it. So I guess we'll see how that one might break down. But hey, Adventure Force, they're not out yet. We're going to rotate down to Cafe, and this one was a peculiar push. They kind of set themselves up. They started to get ground, had 40 seconds, and then decided to throw everything in and try and hard stick a plant. And, well, we saw how that went.
Akatsuki, now they will go back to their full rotation. They have one garage, Consulate, top floor, and lobby, of course, right in a row. And that's impressive to do. You know, we didn't even see, well, we did see from the players of Adventure Force, they did it as well, but not straight off the rip. You know, it was kind of round, they took, what, round 3, 4, and 5 in that row, but not straight away. So, kind of, Adventure Force, they've kind of beat you to it. Akatsuki, they've done you. They've done it with the old wombo combo.
Only gone and done it. Prophecy going for this mid-floor hold again. Obviously, they've doubled up on the information with the Mozzie and the Valkyrie to feed and filter themselves as much as they can. The Mutes are going above to control the drones and potentially catch some stuff on the second floor as well. Just double down on that vertical hold, and they're also going to throw the cameras towards pillars as well. Going a little bit hard and fast on this mid-floor to try and, just as he said, put a bit of fear into the hands of Adventure Force. Adventure Force, who are still in the midst of setting up their claymores and jump-out cover on the corner stairs. They did get both these walls open very quickly, and then that's generally when things started to go a bit awry, and Breezy and Euphoria wasting no time as they try and do it again.
That's a new one.
That's a new one. That's a new weapon that you can get.
He's Michael Jackson.
Spooky Halloween one. And they set themselves up to now have this wall open, but this isn't the hard bit. The hard bit is getting the control above.
Yeah, top floor control needs to be locked down for Adventure Force, but they have just lost their roam coverage. Another good night. They love their good nights, the old NA guys, don't they?
Yeah, the thing, it loses its effect when you do it so often.
Oh.
But this is the start of...
It's just like standard for NA, yeah? It seems standard. Because typically if someone tries to say something about EU, there's typically an old Twitter app being added in there, and Breezy just strolls on in. Doesn't have diffuser though, he's forgot it. Why would you drop Prophecy? You just gave them a free way in. Pipes has been eliminated though, his IQ was right old in there, but still, it's back and forth. Tense enough. Adventure Force trying to create this approach to try and get the defuse down. Throw upstairs lurking around. They know they don't have upstairs control. But Prod, he also knows that, and he's trying to hold it from them.
Well, the wide swing comes out from Drip and does drop Breezy, but can't get the finish on it. Euphoria and Throw are doubling up either side to find Drip from behind White Van. Put it in a 2-3, but the rotation from Yellow Stairs is able to pick them off. Prod from above showing up when he needs to. There's the swing, and Throw finds Talon, who pushes it against it. But with Breezy still down and out outside, it is for now a 1-1. The Valkyrie cam's going to spot that, and the pre-play C4 goes off, but doesn't quite catch. And this is down to Prod to try and listen into this and get a response. 2-1. And we'll see if they can find something. With 40 seconds, this is the last time we had every single operator alive and they hard pushed a plant. Now it's 2. They have a great situation, a great position. They just have to not do that.
He still had stun grenades. Why didn't he use them? Stickler.
6-4. 6-4, we sit on match point. 2 rounds in the difference, and you know, it's what, 5 rounds in a row now for Akatsuki. They're doing well, they're responding well, and they're kind of locking down these situations. I think it's fair to say that they've generally been the better team in the second half, but it's mainly just because Adventure Force are struggling to execute.
Why didn't he use the concussions from the lifeline? Because that is not only a way, of course, to disorientate your opponent, but it's information. Because as soon as they pop, you know where he is. If you just quick peeked and popped one in towards Pipes, you would have known exactly where the man was. He would have been stunned, and that would have been an easy freebie. That's just, But hey, they've paid for it. Now they're staring down the barrel of match point.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions there, and obviously with the 40 seconds left, you still have plenty of time in Siege. As weird as that is to say, you have 2 bodies, you know roughly where they were, and you know loads of ways to kind of find a way into this point, and yeah, it does kind of push you into, right, well, this is the plan we're running, and we've got to hope it works, and just enable yourself a little bit of breathing room. Remember your utility and don't try and throw yourself into a firefight, because we saw in the first game today between SSG and Atheris, what happens if you try and throw everyone through a single hole is all of your players die.
Yeah.
And it's just a bad kind of habit that some teams have when they find themselves in those like do or die situations to take a step back. And it's a very hard thing to do as well. It's all, you know, it's one of those situations that can separate a lot of players with a lot of the big experience in a lot of the kind of big situations to pull themselves out of a situation, look at what they've got, look at what is on the table, and, you know, find the way of making it work. Drip with the Valkyrie playing around piano and trying to set up the early warning system as they try and hold themselves down. Clash was a 6th pick off, so they're trying to bait at least a play style. I'm assuming to bait that onto yellow.
More than likely, that would kind of be their thought process. Akatsuki, now, can they see it through and try and finish this out, or will they go into, yeah, again, another history book of NA teams and choking? We'll have to find out. As Akatsuki, they set up, try and hold yellow, primarily. Prophecy, he's here, Talon as well, trying to play aggressive towards the B windows. Just be careful though, because if they lose a C4 early on, that doesn't really leave them a lot of options in the kind of late game, and they do have 3 of those, and whenever there is probably going to be a Valkyrie camera inside of B, so they can go below and get the pings and get the information and an easy kill. Connector windows where Suzaku's going to be playing, this is the ideal position for a Nomad. First blood will actually fall for Akatsuki. And now, Adventure Force, they have to be cautious.
Well, they've definitely made a habit of being able to pick the first body on their defenses, and you know, I think it's just kind of swung into their favor, and you can see that they've put a lot of trust in these defense rounds. And those 2 that they got on their attacks, again, as I said, they're a good situation to be in when you swing in. Breezy slightly misthrowing his drone there and is actually just going to ignore it and forget about it, and we'll leave him to that as Euphoria finds his way out of a bush and starts pushing towards the building. There's still the man on yellow stairs holding the top corner down, which has always been a big point of wanting to push from these guys, but look at the utility they've still got. They've got the Capital bolts, they no longer have the Nomad charges as Prod finds his double, and it's just trying to get the body out, with the IQ being the one that's taken up the liberty. There's the Capital bolts, and the man pushes in to the fire, and then, well, finds himself heading to the afterlife as the run out from deep comes from underneath and gets caught out on the return journey.
Zest, all to do it, does get the down onto Drip. Doesn't finish him off though, but because that C4 did not explode, he knows that he's downed. Still, what is it with these teams and just forgetting the diffuser? It's outside. Even if he manages to get in a position like a 1v1, he will not be able to plant. He's pushed all the way in, up through Spiral, and well, there is still Pixel and Prod he has to go through. That's a 5-5-2. First Toxic Bay will go through, but doesn't even land towards. That was placed in towards the Spiral. And now Zest creeping around in towards the front office will try and push in towards the A-bomb site, but there is the final kill. Pixel on the smoke. Will put that to rest, and well, Akatsuki, they pull it back. They've managed to regrip and recollect.
Good showing, good half, and goodness, we're heading to the 3rd map. Best of 3, the 2nd time we're doing this. Akatsuki have shown up finally. Let's see who is the victor as we head to Cafe. We will see you after some adverts.
predict the outcome, win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.